You're listening to the Flip Houses Like a Girl podcast, where we educate, empower, and celebrate everyday women who are facing their fears, juggling family and business, embracing their awesomeness, and wholeheartedly chasing their dream of flipping houses. Each episode delivers honest to goodness tools, tips, and strategies you can implement today to get closer to your first or next successful house flip. Here's your spiky-haired, breakfast taco-loving host, house flipping coach, Debbie DeBeery.
Hey there. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, you're having an easy day. Today we'll be chatting with Linda, who's in Portland, Oregon, and she'll be taking us through her first flip experience. And this is such a great episode for many reasons. And I know I say that all the time, but guess what? They are each really great episodes. So in this one, we'll hear about how she found the deal, how she financed the deal, some hippy-dippy woo-woo that went into it, and something that came up as she was renovating the property and listed it. So it kind of started happening while she was renovating. And then when she listed the property for sale, it was an issue. It was feedback she was getting about this specific thing that was affecting her property. And she had little to no control over it. So we're going to talk about that, how she handled it. We're going to talk about her buyer and the buyer's inspector and real estate agent, and how Linda got mansplained. So that was fun. We'll talk about so much more. All right, so sit tight and let's meet Linda. You're going to love her. She's a rock and roller, awesome energy, awesome vibe. Let's get into it. So first name, and then any information you want to share with us about like your backstory and what brought you to this, and why flipping houses.
Okay. Well, I'm Linda, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I've lived here for about 30 years, and I work in public health. Didn't always work in public health. I was a bartender for a long time. And then I decided to go back to school. I thought healthcare was where it was at. And I still do have my day job with the health department. Okay. And, you know, as inspiring as that is, I have always wanted to flip houses. I'm constantly just, you know, watching all those flipping shows and, you know, dating contractors.
I love it.
Yeah. And just, you know, trying to figure out how can I do that someday? You know, how can I do that someday? And, you know, when the pandemic hit, I was fortunate enough to be able to work from home. We did that transition, and I still work from home, which I love. I love it. It works for me. But it did enable me to have some extra time in the evenings because I wasn't commuting anymore. So I was like, you know, I want to maybe take some classes or something. And I don't even remember how this happened. What I do remember is that I was on Facebook, and I think one of your ads just kind of popped up in my news feed. And I was like, who is the Flipstress? That sounds kind of interesting. So I started listening to your podcast, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to study. Like, this is what I want to take this class, you know? So I think I took my tax refund and paid for it.
That's awesome.
So in February of 2021, I took I purchased your course, and I just devoured the modules. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. It was just stuff that I could really stay engaged with. You know, when I was in college, I mean, my eyes would bleed reading what I had to read, you know, but this was so much more fun, and the modules were interactive, and, you know, I learned better in that way where it's like a video and I can pause it and go back, you know, and listen to you again and be like, what did she just say? I don't think I quite grasped that. And so just devoured the modules. And then I was like, I'm going to just start seeing if I can actually, this is the way I thought about it. Can I manifest a property? Because I'm totally a meditator and I believe in the law of attraction and stuff. So I was doing this meditation that's all about the law of attraction. And in the meditation, it's a guided meditation. The guy's like, picture what you want, picture what you want. So I just kept saying, I need a property to flip. I need a property to flip. That's what I want. And I would listen to it while I was exercising, just multiple times a day. And I happened to be on, what is it called? Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And I just happened to see this lady's post where she was like, I really want to sell my house, but I don't want realtors involved. It's a long story, but I don't want any realtors to respond. Well, of course, 30 realtors have left their information. Oh, we take care of you, just trying to encourage her. And I was like, she just said she didn't want to talk to realtors, So I messaged her and I said, hey, full transparency. I said, I'm looking for a house to purchase directly from the seller. Full transparency, I'm looking for a house to flip. So, and then I kind of gave her some reasons why a seller would go with somebody like me versus listing on the market. And so I gave her some, you wouldn't have to do any repairs. You wouldn't have to do any cleaning. You wouldn't have people traipsing through your house except for me and my inspector and my contractor, and that's it. And I also said that she could leave all of her stuff behind that she didn't want, which I later regretted. But
every time I offer that, I regret it, but I still offer it.
Yeah, I know. And it actually was fine. It was just like, whoa, what did I get myself into? But she was receptive to that. And I also told her that I really try to work with women-owned and minority-owned businesses. And that resonated with her. So she let me come over and I checked out her house, and yeah, I kind of just went down a rabbit hole there, but that's kind of how it all just started happening.
That's awesome. So I had no idea you found this on Nextdoor. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay. I love that. And you just reached out. You're like, hey, so this is what's up. And then you went over there, and were there other investors? Was she talking to other investors? Do you even know?
So I heard something later that an investor was interested in her property, but this was already after we were under contract. But that other investor had told her that he wanted to tear down her property, and she was not happy with that. She lived there for 25 years with her family, and she was like, and she also, I just don't think she liked him as a person. So
right.
That helped.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Okay. So you walk the property. Do you make an offer that day?
I went home and crunched the numbers. What I did was, thanks for letting me come over. I really appreciate it. I can't remember if my contractor went with me the first time or not. I think I just went over there by myself the first time just to kind of introduce myself. And I was so nervous, but she was, and this family was a little eccentric. I mean, they weren't very approachable. And I learned that all the neighbors around them had really bad interactions with them. And I'm glad I learned that later, or else I might have been too scared to approach her. But when I went over there, their dog bit me. Just a little nip on the foot, but it went through my shoe.
Oh gosh.
And her husband basically told me, well, you shouldn't have been walking there, So I was like, oh my goodness. And it was just a little dog, but still it bit me. So, and I'm a dog person. I love dogs.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But yeah, so the first time I just said, let me go home and, see what I can come up with, and so I kind of presented an offer to her just via email, like, this is how much I can pay. And this is why this is this is how much it's going to cost for my renovations. This is how much it's going to cost for me to hold the property. And I really just told her all the numbers, because I wanted her to just know how I arrived at that offer.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's totally transparent. Like, this is why. This is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she had given me a number that she wanted, but I was probably $20,000 less than that.
Interesting.
Actually, $25,000 less than what she wanted.
What was her, okay, so that was sent via email. What was her reaction? And what was it, did you have to wait a while, or how did that feel? How did that play out?
So she said she really appreciated the breakdown. She was like, thank you for sharing your numbers with me. It does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to consult my family attorney. I don't even know if she had one, but she wanted to consult some people first and just figure out if it was cool. So it took her like 2 weeks to get back to me, and I was sweating it.
Oh, God.
And also, I was worried that she didn't have a place to move to yet.
Okay.
So I was like, I wonder how this is going to play out. Like, is she going to be just ready to, pull the trigger?
Right.
Or is she going to need some time to find a house?
Right. What time of year was this? Like, what month was this?
I initially contacted her in May.
Okay.
We didn't close till September. So this took quite a while.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We had we had a contract that was a 45-day contract once she finally signed the contract with, I said I would entertain continuing the contract if she wasn't able to close by then. But that I'd have to reanalyze the market and see if my offer was still going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, I think as it got towards the end of that, she was like, you know what, I don't want to risk this, real estate investor lowering the price on me. And she just found herself a property kind of last minute. We closed right before the contract expired, and she moved out.
Okay.
Or she found a place to live. She didn't move out right away. We did a rent back for a few days.
Okay.
Which I was super uncomfortable with.
Did she get out when she was supposed to?
Actually, she got out a couple days early.
Okay.
And so I told her that I would give her the rent, I'd give her a refund for the days that she wasn't in there. And she let me keep it. She's like, just keep it. She's like, I feel bad for how messy my house is. This is kind of her deal. So I just kept the rent back, and she wouldn't take a refund. And we got right to work.
Okay. So did she leave a bunch of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know what was in the attic. My contractor dealt with all that.
Nope,
so.
Not going up there. That's creepy.
Yeah. I did see a Bart Simpson poster that was super, super old. And I just told one of the crew that he could keep that and see if it was worth anything.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't want to insult the folks that owned the house, but it was really trashed.
Yeah. Well, really. Accumulation of what, 25 years, 20 years? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, all right. So you get in and you closed on it in September.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You get in, and what was your purchase price?
$295.
Okay.
$290 and $500.
Oh.
Yeah. Not $295, but $290, $500.
Interesting. Okay. And what was your initial renovation estimate budget before actually getting into it?
$50,000.
Okay. And what happened when you actually got into it?
Well, we started doing things, and, at first it was going okay. We were on track, we were doing good, but it was moving a little slow. But really, I liked my contractor so much that I just kind of didn't worry about that so much. But I have a woman contractor that
awesome.
I've become really good friends with, and I adore her. And she's so smart and so good that, there was some personal things that happened with her, and one of her crew members got sick. And so we got behind a little bit.
Okay.
But then as we're demoing the bathroom, we discovered under the shower that it wasn't installed properly. So there had been water damage that got into all the floorboards underneath the bathroom, up the walls a little bit, and then into the adjacent laundry room. So that was a surprise.
Yeah.
So that set us back a while because we had to remove all of that rotted wood and replace it. And then we had to replace one of the piers underneath, I think is what you call it.
Yep.
And, and that's when my contractor was like, okay, we're going to be above our, we're going to be out of budget. I'll try to save money here and there. Let's see what we can do, but just be prepared that, we're probably going to go over budget a little bit. And I'm like, okay, cool. I've got that 2% buffer in there, and I've got my little running tabulation of it. I'm like, okay, here's my buffer. And as we used it, I was subtracting
Right. It's like,
to see how much was left.
What was your initial timeline? Like, how long did you think it would be before you got it back on the market?
So my contractor said, 2 months for the reno. So I provided a 4-month timeline. Well, the reno ended up taking 5 months.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
And from close to close, it was 7 months.
Okay. Wow. Gosh, it didn't seem that long. I mean, I'm sure it did to you. It didn't seem that long to me.
Yeah. I mean, now that I look back at it, it seems everything that happened was all realistic. It wasn't any, I'm glad that I had those buffers in place, and my contractor was really good about reusing some things on the property. Like we refurbished some of the cabinets that were there. We did put some custom cabinets in up above, but the lower cabinets we saved in the kitchen. So there were things that we did that helped mitigate being super out of budget, but I did go over budget.
Okay. Well, what did your budget end up being?
It ended up being 56.6.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
No.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously the shower pan and all the rotten wood under that and all of that surprise were there any other surprises like that you found when y'all got into things?
The roof, we knew we were going to have to replace the roof, but we did have to replace a lot of the wood, the sheets of wood underneath it too.
Oh, got it.
So, cause there was some leaking that happened. So there was some other water damage, from the roof.
Okay.
What else happened? That water damage was the biggest surprise.
Okay.
And then when we replaced the porch, we, the roof was kind of sagging over the porch because they didn't have support beams. So we ended up having to reinforce a whole brand new kind of porch frame out situation.
Oh, on the front?
On the front.
It was so cute. It's a really cute house.
Yeah, it turned out really good. I wish I would have had a little extra money for landscaping, but I hadn't planned on it because I was thinking I was going to be selling in the wintertime.
Now, what was the main delay from the 2 months of estimated renovation to 5 months? Was it, you said she had something personal come up, and then I think some of her crew got COVID. Was there anything else like?
It was actually mono. Her crew got mono.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I think I think things just take longer than you think, and in the future, as I got to know my contractor, I'm like, hey, let's talk realistic timelines, I was like, yeah, it would have been great if we could have done this in 2 months. But now that we're into it and we're doing a new roof and we're doing all this new stuff and we're doing a completely new bathroom and almost a completely new kitchen and all new flooring, like this stuff is going to take time. and, running into the things that we did, I told her that I had doubled the timeline, but and she was like, yeah, we should be good to go with that. And so, I guess it took a month longer than the double,
Okay. Got it.
Um, But yeah, I mean, I just think that weather had a lot to do with it too. Like Oregon is really wet.
Yeah, you're in Portland. I forgot. You guys get a little bit of rain.
Yeah, it's really wet here. And so, some of the exterior stuff had to wait. The roof had to get done right away. We tried to knock that out right in the beginning before it got cold and, rainy for the wintertime.
Yeah.
So, and then there were 2 outbuildings too that we were working on as well. We didn't do much on those. One of them got a new roof and then they just got cleaned up really well and painted. So that wasn't really a big deal, but, let me think.
What were they being positioned as? Like storage sheds, or what were they being positioned as?
Well, so there was a smaller one that looked like a potting shed. So, that was kind of what we did with that one. And then the larger one, they had built within the last few years. So it was pretty new.
Okay.
So that's a storage shed, or I kind of wanted to make it like a meditation room / yoga studio and put some windows in it and stuff like that. But we didn't have enough money to do that. So I envisioned this really cool yoga staging, with a yoga mat in there and a plant and like a Buddha or something. And it's just an empty shed, but it's got fresh paint on it, and whoever bought the house can do whatever she wants.
Exactly. They can do whatever you want. Okay. So when did you end up putting it on the market to sell?
February 28th.
And how did that go when you first put it on the market? How were you feeling? Let's talk about feelings.
Oh, feelings. I was stressed out. I was so stressed out because during the renovation period, our mayor had, I don't know what they call it, but he did an emergency like statute or something where he banned houseless folks from camping on busy streets and highways and freeways, like along the sides, because several folks had gotten hit by cars. So all of a sudden, these folks are moving into the neighborhoods more. So, and they obviously need a place to sleep. So, it was really hard. It was really hard to watch, like right at the end of the street, the activity just really increase. Tents popping up within eyesight of the property. And it was right across the street. The property sits right across the street from this city walkway, bike pathway.
Oh, cool.
Thing,
yeah.
That people use to commute downtown on their bikes, and families use it to walk on. And it's very lush and lots of greenery around it. Well, that was a really good campsite for folks. And so, I was getting really nervous that the value of my property was going to go down, that I was going to get stuck with the property, or that I was going to have to move into it. I just wasn't comfortable with any of those scenarios.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a city service that comes out and engages with houseless folks and tries to get them services.
Okay.
It was really important to me that they didn't come in and sweep the camp out, because I'm against that. I don't think that's humane. So in my meditations, I was at that point meditating that these folks would find a better place to stay that was safer for them and everyone else involved. And so I was meditating on that, and nothing was happening, but I was like, this is all I can do. This is the best I can do, because I'm not going to call the cops on these folks unless they start vandalizing the property, which they did.
Okay.
But anyway, so we had a couple attempted break-ins.
Okay.
And I actually did not call the police. We just fixed it. They bashed in the window in the bathroom, tried to get in through the bathroom.
Oh man.
And the house next door was vacant as well. So they were getting a lot of break-in attempts there. And actually, we were finding hypodermic needles all over the driveways, and just, we were like, what are we going to do? You know?
So is this right before you listed that you started seeing all of this, or kind of?
It was kind of slowly developing through the course of the whole project. And so that was causing me a lot of stress.
Oh, for sure. I can see that. Yeah.
And, you know, and trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, but also making my presence known. I checked on that property every single day. And I would be out on the front porch, just looking around, spending some time, you know. And when the people broke the window, I stood on the front porch and I yelled. I said, I'm here every day. Do not break into my property, please. Thank you. So, anyway, it was just scary. I just was really worried. But I guess at one point, an organization that helps houseless folks came out and helped them clean up their area, I believe, and a bunch of tents came down and they moved elsewhere.
Okay.
So it started to clean up a little bit, but there were still some campers within just, you know, the distance of maybe 3 or 4 houses away.
Gosh.
So yeah, the feedback I got in the beginning was, wow, it sure is a gorgeous house. Too bad it's not in a better neighborhood.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, oh no. Ah.
Okay. So when you listed it, actually, when you first ran your numbers in May, what were you thinking your ARV would be?
450.
Okay. When you list it in February of 2022, what did you list it at?
450.
Okay, awesome. Now, isn't it like we can only control the things we can control, right?
I kept telling myself that too.
Oh, and when there's other stuff that's right there impacting you and your livelihood, it's like, and then you've got your morality, right? And it's like, well, but I don't want to just put them in the system, right? Because maybe the cops aren't the right answer. But then they start breaking in, and then there's hypodermic needles. It's like, oh my gosh, that's all very stressful. Yeah, I can see that would all be very stressful. And I'm glad that they were able, hopefully some of them got the services they needed and then just get moved to somewhere else, right? That's all we can ever hope for, is that they're actually getting the help they need. Yeah, okay, so when you first put it on, there's still some activity there. And how long did it take for you to, well, first of all, let me ask this. Did that ever clear out completely?
No.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to get an offer?
I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I was very happy when I finally got an offer. And I did get some realtors calling my realtor saying, hey, will she take $10,000 less? And I said, no.
Yep.
I just wanted to, I was like, you know what? We're short on inventory.
Yep.
I believe that we will hopefully see some progress cleaning up, you know, helping folks get into housing. Housing first is what I believe the answer is. We need to house these folks. And, you know, just, I wanted to stick with my number because I knew that the house was worth that.
Good for
you.
It
was on a dead end street, you know, very idyllic spot. I mean, I can see why folks wanted to camp there because it was really like being in the country, but you're not in the country. Like you literally just have greenery everywhere. And there's this park across the street and it's gorgeous. And so I was like, you know, 450 is totally realistic. And I was kind of hoping that I would see some bidding wars, but, you know, and I was hoping to get maybe 5, but I didn't.
So, okay. I remember though, remind me to come back to how you financed everything. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to ask that question. I should have asked that already, but I will. I remember it coming back on the market. It went under contract and then came back on the market.
Yeah, we actually, so this is interesting. So this is where, we hear all these stories about, mansplainers and, men that don't take women seriously in this industry. I get under contract with it's a single woman, newly divorced, ready to buy her, a place for her and her son. And her realtor is a guy who was not nice at all. I mean, he was very verbally abusive to my realtor, who is a woman.
Oh,
so this guy was just awful. And he was second guessing everything. And I think what poisoned him was the inspector.
Gosh.
The man who, when you read the inspection, I got to actually read it, and he was inserting his opinion everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's not your job, sir.
And using my pronoun, like he's literally talking about me, like it looks like she did this, it looks like she did that, like,
oh wow.
But it looks like she did a bunch of work that required permits and didn't get permits, which we didn't. We did not do that. So after reading it was like, wow, this guy is one of those good old boys that does not want women in the business. And he is just ripping apart this project that I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
That my general contractor is very proud of. Yeah. And she's a woman as well.
Right.
And we got the vibe that they just did not like the fact that two women pulled this off.
Wow.
With
gross.
I mean, we did have some guys working on the property too, but my general contractor was managing it and she was doing a lot of the work herself. Yeah. And, we were proud of the finished product.
Yeah.
So I think the realtor got a little taste of that in him. And then I think that he killed the deal at first with the buyer, just saying, I don't know about this property, doesn't look like, he literally said, it does not look like the owner knows how to manage contractors.
Wow. God.
And I was like, wow, how you don't even know me.
Right.
You don't know what we've done. Like, you weren't here. And obviously you're not a contractor yourself, because wow. I can just tell. One of the things I have to tell you this part, this is when we realized, wow, this inspector, don't use this guy ever.
Gosh.
He sent a message to the realtor, who then sent a message to my realtor saying, the shower doesn't even work, like literally doesn't even come on. So the whole thing's going to have to be taken apart and redone.
Oh,
well, I just turned on that shower like the day before, so it was just like one of those fancy spa shower heads.
He didn't know how to work.
With a toggle switch on it. He didn't know how to use it. User error, So I go over there and I took a video of it, and I'm like, I just, turned, I was like, see this toggle switch up here? And I turned it on, and I turned the shower on, and I just said, user error, send it to my realtor, send to her realtor. But they still ended up backing out of the deal.
Okay.
And I was just, that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And me and my realtor were just like, you know what? It was that inspector. He just really poisoned everybody on this property. So there was a couple things that came up in the inspection that we thought we'd take care of in the meantime, and then we would relist it within a week. So we didn't relist it yet. And right as we're about to get ready to do that, I got a message from my realtor. She's like, you'll never guess who's back. And I was like, what is going on? So the original buyer sent me an apology saying that she really did believe that we did a good job on the house.
Wow.
That she is sorry that she backed out. She said, this is the first decision I've made as a single person in 21 years. And I just basically got cold feet.
Yeah. And he enabled that, right? Like, he enabled the cold feet. He's like, oh yeah, you should totally have cold feet here.
Yeah. Oh, so he also threw her under the bus. His apology to me was, hey, sorry, we're back, but the buyer knows now that she really messed things up on this one. Totally threw her under the bus.
God, he is terrible.
It was not lost on us. We definitely felt for her at this point. So she was like, will you accept an offer from me? She's like, will you even accept another offer from me? And I said, yes, but with no contingencies and full price. And I want to close by the end of the month because, we're going on over 30 days at this point. We were supposed to close in a few days. Originally, I said, I want to close by the end of the month. She agreed to it and everything happened and we closed on time.
I remember now that buyer came back. I remember you saying,
yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait to tell the story on the podcast. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting.
It was a roller coaster ride for sure.
Yeah, right. It is. How did you feel? Oh, okay. Let me go back. How did you finance the purchase and the renovations?
I used hard money lender.
Okay.
Which did a fix and flip loan. So the budget the reno budget was included in the loan.
Awesome. Did you have to have any down payment or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have to have a 10% down payment and then obviously my holding costs. And I actually did have a private lender lined up, one of my dearest friends, which actually made me feel so much more confident knowing that that friend of mine believed in me enough to be my private money lender.
Yeah.
It made me nervous though, because I was like, oh gosh, what if I screw up and, I have to hold her money longer? And, all these like scary thoughts were coming in.
Of course. Uh-huh.
And it turned out that I was actually waiting for some settlement funds for something from a long ass time ago.
Wow.
From a long time ago, like 5 years ago, showed up miraculously.
Are you kidding me?
Out of the blue.
You had no idea.
I knew it was coming, but I thought I'd be waiting another year, for it.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I got an email saying that my settlement was coming and I was able to, and it was just enough. It was like the exact amount of the down payment and the holding cost.
This is hippy dippy woo woo.
I know. Well, that's the meditation. I swear to Buddha.
Oh, that's trippy. I love it. I totally love it. Oh my gosh.
Trippy. Because I was just like, please, universe, I don't want to just, I was having those limiting beliefs. Like, what if I fail? And then, my friend loses money or whatever. And, I understand there's promissory notes and things like that are in place and all that, but I just didn't want to put any kind of strain like that on our friendship,
Sure.
So I went ahead and used that settlement for my down payment and holding costs.
That's incredible. That's so cool. Okay. Now, did you do, who chose like the design and then the finish out and all of that? Did you do that or did your contractor? You did. Okay.
I did. That was my favorite part.
So good.
Oh my gosh. That was my favorite part of the whole thing.
You're super talented at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the house is just so charming.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that part of it. I mean, I already knew that I wanted quartz countertops and things like that, but I had so much fun shopping for bathroom vanities and like tile. And I was in Home Depot and Lowe's all the time. Like, I'm going to go look at tile just for like an hour, while I think about it, I've got some time tonight. I'm going to go look at tile, and then I'd walk out with a big old cart full of tile and paint and stuff. And
sounds about right. Yep.
That was the stuff that I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
There was this one room originally that had a bunch of cedar shiplap in it that we tore down. But I said, can you be really careful when you tear that down? I feel like we could use that as a feature wall somewhere. And so we ended up using that cedar shiplap as a feature wall in the laundry room / mud room.
Very cool.
and on the front side of the kitchen peninsula under the bar. And it
Yeah. I'm
turned
remembering
out
the
so
pictures.
cool. Yeah, it turned out really cool.
That's so,
So
I love it when I can take something that was there and I can keep it
Mhm.
there. I love that. That's so
Yeah.
great. All right. Now, when you went to put it on the market, since you did choose the design and the finish out, were you nervous at all about what people would think, or were you like, totally nailed this?
I was actually pretty proud of it. I was super stoked to share the photos with people, to be honest.
Awesome.
I thought the photographer did a great job. It photographed really, really well. And I was like, you know what? I just want to, I'm proud of this. I'm
Yeah,
proud of this.
good.
And you know what? Whatever happens, happens, but we did it, and high fives all around.
I love
Let's
it.
see what happens. And yeah, I was pretty proud of it. The only thing that I would have done different is probably made the yard look a little nicer, but it was kind of winter time, not quite spring. And I just didn't know what to do with that piece.
Yeah.
I mowed the lawn.
There you go. Okay, so you bought it for $290,500. You
Mm-hmm.
put about $56,600 into the renovations. Obviously, you had
Mm-hmm.
some closing and carrying costs. You sold it for $450. What did your profit end up being?
My profit ended up being 44,000.
That's pretty awesome.
Just under 10%.
That's pretty on 7 months. Like that's pretty awesome, sister. That's fantastic.
I'm pretty stoked about it.
What was how did you feel when, obviously it's exciting when you get the offer, it's exciting when you go under contract. After closing, like, were you like, I did that. I did that. What were you? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so I had COVID the week of the signing,
Oh
the
my
week of the closing.
gosh.
It was just so weird. I got COVID right at the end there, and I was like, how am I going to go to the signing? What am I going to do? And they weren't doing DocuSign at this point. Like, I don't
Oh,
know.
geez.
So I literally like had to practically put a hazmat suit on and go over there. And I sat in the car, and they brought out the documents to me in the car, and then stepped away, eat,
Jeez,
and watched me sign everything
such a
from
weird
6
time.
feet. I know, it was so weird. And I'm glad I wasn't like, I mean, I was sick, but I just dosed up on Dayquil and went over there and had cough drops because I didn't want to cough or
Yeah.
anything. Gloves, we all had gloves on,
Yeah.
But once it funded, when it funded, I felt this physical just lifting off of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just pure joy that I actually did it.
Yeah.
And that the universe was like, yeah, Linda, you can do this. You're allowed to do this. This is your calling. Like this, or one of your callings. I mean, it's my thing. I love it. I loved the roller coaster ride. Like, yeah, it was stressful,
Yeah.
but like, I really loved kind of being presented with a problem and figuring it out and solving it.
Yes.
And I also really loved that I haven't brought this up yet, but being able to go into the Facebook group and be like, oh my gosh, have you guys ever been in this situation? Or what do you do when this happens? I'm freaking out, and then to have people say, oh, that's happened to me before, or this is how we handled that, or whatever. And it was just so priceless to have that group there, and everyone's support, and just having them all be women as well, and just empowering each other was super helpful. I mean, I really can't imagine, being able to do it without that.
Awesome. You did it. We're stoked you did it. Everybody has their own journey, and it's so fun and rewarding and inspiring to see you do the thing and see you prove to yourself that you can.
Mhm.
And I love that you said that the universe is allowing you to do this, right? Like you have permission to do this. And that's it. Ah, I'm so happy for you. What's up now? Are you in another flip right now? Or are you looking, or what are you doing right now?
I just made a verbal offer on actually on the RMLS. So I'm actually waiting to hear back on that one. I mean, I'm trying to manifest it, but if it happens, then it was meant to be. If it doesn't, I'll just keep looking. I don't stress about, like, I don't feel like I've lost when I don't get the house that I want.
Yes.
I just feel like, okay, that wasn't the house for me then. That wasn't
Yes.
meant to be. There's going to be a better one around the corner.
Well,
So
I think that's because you have an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. I think when people get so hung up on that one didn't work out and oh my gosh, I can't believe it didn't work out, or when they're under contract on a house and they do their due diligence and they discover like the numbers have changed dramatically, right? Like the renovation budget is way this and this is this. And now based on the numbers, this is not a good deal. And
mhm.
back out, right? Like that's a gift that you get to back out. And some people get so bent out of shape on it. And it's like, no, thank goodness you discovered that now before
Yeah,
getting
you're
into the
allowed to
deal.
walk away. You're allowed to
Yes.
switch gears and pivot. Yeah.
Yeah, go. And there's plenty of opportunity. You will absolutely find something else. There's plenty of opportunity, but I think it is like a scarcity versus abundance thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing them everywhere. So I'm just like, which house do I want?
Uh-huh. I want them all. Were there any other weird things about your first flip or any other lessons learned or anything you would have done differently that we haven't already touched on?
Yes. I need to, one of the things I learned is that the neighborhood does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Finding, I mean, I know Portland
Mm-hmm.
very well. I've
Mm-hmm.
lived in different areas of Portland. I know Portland very well, and I know which neighborhoods that I feel comfortable in. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to live in this house that I
Mm-hmm.
just flipped. It's the thought of having to move into it myself gave me kind of a panic attack just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? The buyers are thinking that too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness I
Mm-hmm.
found a buyer that really fell in love with the house and didn't mind the situation around there. I'm guessing she works in social services, so she's not, intimidated by that. And so better neighborhoods.
Okay.
That house required flood insurance too, because it was very close to a creek.
Got it.
No more flood insurance houses. I actually tried to get FEMA to change the flood map because it does need to be changed. It's really outdated. And I was in the process of that at closing. So I just kind of passed it off to the new buyer if she wants to continue that process. But I thought the flood insurance would deter people from buying the house because it was a 10 out of 10 flood risk or whatever. So it had to have flood insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? I think timeline, don't give yourself time to do these projects, even though, yeah, time is money. Well, factor that in.
Yes.
And give yourself enough time to do it.
Yes.
Because if you don't give yourself enough time to do it, every day after that, you can't sleep. You're stressing because every day is costing you X amount of dollars. And if you didn't account for that in your original deal analysis, that's when you start losing money.
Yes. Yes. Just give yourself the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to say something else. I don't hear a lot about this too happening, but like I gave myself another stream of resources in case I needed it. I was able to open up a business line of credit.
Oh, nice.
Just in case,
Who did you go through?
Advantage Credit Union. They're my credit union. So I just walked in there one day and I'm like, hey, I just started this business. Do you think I qualify for a business line of credit? And they're like, well, we'll base it off of your day job or whatever. And so they did extend me a business line of credit, which wasn't very big, but I actually used some of it.
Nice.
So that I didn't have to use my own money for some of the last couple mortgage payments I put on that business line of credit. But as soon as I closed and it funded, I paid it right back down to zero.
Yes.
So it's sitting there. They're already offering to double that line now that I've demonstrated that I can, use it and pay it off.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge tip. Yeah. I love my credit union.
Mm-hmm. Credit unions are the way to go.
Yep. I love those 3 tips. Anything else?
Believe in yourself.
Yes. Believe
in yourself. Don't let anyone else tell you can't do it. Seriously. Like I've been listening to people my whole life tell me, oh, why are you doing that? Why would you try to be a musician? It's so competitive. Why would you try to do this? So competitive. It's like, quit smashing my dreams, people.
So yes. 100% yes. And that reminds me of, I volunteered for this organization many years ago. And part of the training, and so it's kids, teenagers, part of the training was, one of the lessons in the training was don't yuck their yum.
Oh,
right.
Like
and I love it. So whatever they're like excited about, don't yuck it. Like, why are you yucking their yum? And that's exactly what people were doing to you. They were yucking your yum all over the place.
Totally were. They totally were. But now I've got some believers that used to yuck my yum. Now they're like, oh my gosh, we're so proud of you.
Imagine that.
So,
all right. I'm sorry. I just looked at the clock. I had no idea that I went a little bit over. I apologize.
I'll get back to my day job now.
I'm sorry. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's going to inspire others. And that's really cool for you to do that.
Well, you inspired me, and I devour everything that you post, that you put out there, and it's been just everything.
I appreciate that. I really do. It means so much to me. Thanks for hanging out with me. Really, it means a lot to me. I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the group.
Okay. All right. Bye.
The moral of the story, right? Believe in yourself, pivot when necessary, handle what comes your way, trust yourself, and everything will be okay. Okay. It's just buying, renovating, and selling houses. Okay. It doesn't have to be this big, scary thing that you psych yourself out of. It's just buying an old house, loving on it, putting it back on the market for a buyer to create memories in. That's it. All right. And if you're sitting on the sidelines still, not doing the thing that you want to be doing, with all these stories in your head, all the naysayers around you, I'm here to tell you we have women across the US who are doing this thing successfully. All right. We show you how to do it. Not only that, we support you along the way. All right. So if you want step by step, if you want daily guidance and advice and feedback and help, that's what we do. We are super intentional about what we do. All right. So if you want to see if we're a fit, go to herfirstflip.com and schedule a call with us. All right. Until next time, go out there, flip houses like a girl, leave people and places better than you find them, and make it a great day. Bye, y'all.